and welcome to Spotlight with me, Ruth Medjber. This is your weekly guide to all things arts, culture and new Irish music. Today we're going to have a very special Culture Night show where we are going to talk about what's happening this weekend. Because of course, Friday the 23rd of September is Culture Night. We see all of Ireland opening up their doors, all the art spaces, all the performance spaces, loads of our finest artists putting on a show, and normally it's all for free. So we're going to talk to Culture Night Ambassador Nialler9 about his top picks, what he recommends that we should go and see and do. Also on this week's show, we have a live musical guest, a brand new artist called Aonair, who's going to be popping in and doing some songs for us. We also have an interview with an amazing woman called Clodagh Finn, who is an author and a columnist, and she writes about amazing women in history who are kind of often overlooked. So she's going to tell us some of her favourite stories of amazing women. So we're going to kick off the show straight away with some brand new Irish music, as we do, because, you know, why else would we play anything else? This is a new collaboration. I love a good collaboration between two artists. This is Merle, who you might remember from winning the Choice Awards a few years ago. Merle, it was in Rossangano family. He's now on his own, doing a few bits and pieces. He's teamed up with Elaine May. I love Elaine May. We all love Elaine May. And together they have this banger of a track. It's called Ready. Are you ready? Here we go. Let's lift off this week's Spotlight.
What I desire, I'm ready for you. You're what I desire, and I'm ready for you. What I desire, I'm ready for you. You're what I desire, and I'm ready for you. What I desire, I'm ready for you. You're what I desire, and I'm ready for you. What I desire, I'm ready for you. You're what I desire, and I'm ready for you. What I desire, I'm ready for you. You're what I desire, and I'm ready for you. Yes, I know I may never be that kid you wish that I was, and it'll be remiss of me, things I saw. Stuck in a rut, there was no vibe. Stomach could rumble for more life. I was alone, there was no pride. Where goes the line with no tribe? But I keep moving forward. Find a new seed, I sow it. Belly gon' cry for hours. When I see the meal, I know it. Take it out, eat, know what am I for? Never dwell on stumbles on I roll. Daddy, they come from nomad. Every day with them was a notepad. Work twice as hard and all that. You saw it, yeah, you saw it. How I been on job like no man. You know it, yeah, you know we be tryna make dough like a real man. You saw it, yeah, you saw it. Everyone sleep when we go on. Laughing at us, they have been live row one. Now if you're looking for your champion, I know one. Yeah. What I desire, I'm ready for you. What I desire, and I'm ready for you. What I desire, I'm ready for you. You're what I desire, and I'm ready for you. What I desire, I'm ready for you. You're what I desire, and I'm ready for you. What I desire, I'm ready for you. You're what I desire, and I'm ready for you. I got this feeling that we never go away. What I desire, I'm ready for you. I got this feeling that we never go away. What I desire, and I'm ready for you. I got this feeling that we never go away. What I desire, I'm ready for you. I got this feeling that we never go away. What I desire, I'm ready for you. Never go away. What I desire, I'm ready for you. I got this feeling that we never go away. What I desire, I'm ready for you. I got this feeling that we never go away. What I desire, I'm ready for you. I got this feeling that we never go away. What I desire, I'm ready for you. Never go away. I got this feeling that we never go away. It never go away. What I desire, I'm ready for you. What I desire, and I'm ready for you. What I desire, I'm ready for you. What I desire.
Let's talk events. Coming up in the National Concert Hall, we have an event called Haunted Dance Halls. Tickets are €27 for this, but you do get an L discount if you are friends of the NCH. So it's over 2 nights. Haunted Dance Hall will see over 40 artists. Now, it's not just your normal usual 40 artists who play venues all the time in Ireland. They are bringing in some exceptional new electronic or contemporary classical ambient musicians from all over the world to the concert hall. It's called Hauntology. Hauntology Noise and Experimental Music, a brand new festival for Ireland's iconic venue. It'll be in 5 different rooms throughout the National Concert Hall. I don't know if you've ever been to the concert hall. Obviously, we've been to the main concert space, but some of the little rooms that they have dotted upstairs are just, or if not more, magical than the concert hall space. I'm really excited to see how they're going to utilise the venue to its maximum potential here. So that's Haunted Dance Halls in the National Concert Hall from 7 p.m. to late. Tickets €27 for that one. Seems amazing. 1st and the 2nd of October. Get your tickets now for that one. Now, we love a bit of poetry here on Spotlight, as you all know. There's an artist who is a friend of mine who I absolutely adore, and I think you all know him just as well as I do. His name is Stephen James Smith. He is doing an event as part of the Dublin Festival of History. It's brought to you by Dublin City Council and Dublin City Libraries. Good skins of people. It's in the Richmond Barracks Gymnasium on September 26th. Starts at 7 p.m. And it's a free event. And we all love free events, don't we? I mean, we need to be doing more free events and we need to be highlighting them more here due to the old crisis of living or whatever they're calling it. So Stephen James Smith is doing a history event inspired by the recent passing of Dublin poets Thomas Kinsella and Vincent Caprani, where Stephen's going to be discussing poems from Dublin's past, as well as reading some of his own work inspired by the city and its glorious journey. So why don't we right now take a reading from Stephen James Smith. This is from his album See No Evil, beautiful body of work. This is Dublin You Are. So why don't you just take a moment, have a listen, sink in, listen to what he's saying. He's such a good voice, such a good poet. Take it away, Stephen James Smith.
Dublin, you are grey brick upon brick, full of tarmac and hipster pricks, just face it. All other places pale in comparison, you are more than some former Saxon garrison Dublin. Your warmth came too late for John Corrie. Dublin, are you even sorry? Dublin, you're divided by more than the Liffey. You said yes to equality, it's about blooming time, yet Dublin, you always proclaimed to cherish all. Dublin, your panties are on Capel Street, compromising any papal feats. Dublin, Jedward, awkward. Dublin, you're more than a settlement on the Poddle, but Dublin, what's the crack with Coddle? It's shite. Why don't you just admit it? Dublin, you brought back Sam again. But when did you go from the clash of the ash to exchanging gold for cash? Dublin, Dublin, Oblina, Balya Ahaclia, and 180 other tongues your citizens are using to name you. So cade me the fault you to all. Dublin, where the power is held by too few in the Dáil. Dublin, when will you revolt again? 1988 wasn't your true millennium, despite the 50p's in milk bottles. Dublin, you're mine. But I'm happy to share you. Dublin, from RTE, TCD, UCD, U2, SIB2, IFSC, and acrimonious Temple Bar STDs. ODs, 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 and OMGs. No longer the second city. Yet you play second fiddle to Google and Guinness, to Facebook and on social tweets. Dublin, knocked yourself. Your tower blocks and tenements are an excuse for a solution. Dublin, come here till I tell you. You can be more than rapid dirt birds and banjacks, bowsies, and alright story, but yes, sure, that's all good. Chase that scald, you white gold ball, you McSawyer and the lawyer. Dublin, I cry for you. Dublin, you're a tough bastard, yet you're full of the softness of all the people on your streets. Margaret Dunn dancing on O'Connell Street, the Dice Man Tom McGinty miming on Grafton Street, Pat Inglesby with his poems in Westmoreland Street, and your Mollies, Malone, Ivers and Bloom, to Dady, Sadie, Sandy Mounts, from the Gospel of Kelly, Drew, McKenna and Sheehan to Borstal boys like Brendan Bean, to Gallants Rejoice and Evelyn looking out to sea. Snow falling slowly on the dead in Glasnevin, Glen and Marquetta once strolling to Christy Brown, willfully controlling a foot to paint pictures and poems to your heroines. Brenda Fricker, the city's mother, and Maureen O'Hara, an enchanting other. Dublin, you are boom and bust, running wild and swift. Dublin, can I trust you? Dublin, you're true blue as Harry Clark's cobalt. Dublin, from a thin Lizzie Dicey Roddy to a floozy in a jacuzzi, God-fearing. Dublin, shooting down Veronica Guerin. Dublin, you're bang bang. 40 coats, Zosimus, a Blind Street pole. Dublin, you are all of us, and all who are yet to come. So let's go to the grave diggers and have a pint. Dublin, remember Stardust and all your waltzing lovers. Big Jim's arms are outstretched to tourism people, yet are we under the thumb again, Dublin? Your GPO columns are scarred from the crackle of gunshots, Dublin. Your CCTV will never yield your essence like the shots of Arthur Field's Manor Bridge. You are the pool bag towers and the poor showers begging on Bachelor's Walk. Dublin, you're all talk, yet you have my attention. From Robbie Keane to Paul and me in Dublin's calling, ooh, ah, Paul McGrath, while some say up the Ra. Dublin, bridging gaps with Joyce and Beck and finally to Rosie Hackett. Dublin, Paddy Finnegan was forced to sell the big issue on your streets while Daffodil Mulligan was paid the bear on beats. Dublin, you say the lish. Dublin, you're full of the Polish and Brazilians speaking Portuguese, and now the Chinese have turned Parnell Street into Chinatown. Dublin, don't let them down. Don't forget, no blacks, no dogs, no Irish. Dublin, perish the thought of you being racist. Dublin, Cuchulainn has fled the GPO and is heading for Monto. Dublin, your bay embraces. Despite the Sellafield Sea, your mountains frame all your natural beauty. Dublin, no way than Banshee stricken with TV. Dublin, you're European, but you could be Craggy Island in disguise. Gabriel Conroy is heading west because of an epiphany. Just saying, Dublin, you only painted your post boxes green. Is the Abbey doing all you dreamed? Dublin, you're notorious for clampers, senators and seagulls, to Celtic tigers and septic tanks, to singing high kings and rampaging Vikings. Dublin, come here. Take me for the teddies and a romantic stroll down with the pier. Dublin, you're a dancing place, a sprawling space of villages and many faces on the edge of an island that's been eroded by the Atlantic, battling with being romanticised. Dublin, are you dynamic, struggling with identity, changing for the better, changing for us? Don't be scared to change. Don't be scared. We're with you, always, my friend, my home. Mentioned 50 times in this poem, we live in you, with you, my city, Macree. I love you. Most of the time, you see, Dublin, you are me.
So, more culture for you. If you're staying in and you don't fancy what's on RTE or any other likes, you can tune into TG Car, and they're going to take us on a little trip around the island of Ireland in their Culture Night special. So they're going to be buzzing around from Mayo, where you're going to teach the techniques of lobster pot making, all the way to Cork, where you're going to visit a purpose-built studio space that kind of like brings kids in from the local area and teaches them all how to do bits and pieces. Then Adam Mohammed, who is this amazing Irish Sudanese poet, they're going to be visiting him, talking about what's happening in Dublin, how he's like, bringing up his son in what they call a new era. And then also on TG Car, they're just really highlighting community events, which is what Culture Night should be. It shouldn't be the big heavy hitters. It should be community events in your area. So Owen McDermott will rehearse a solo drama by local folklorist, and there's that's in like the grounds of Menlo Castle in Galway. So they're really shining an spotlight on local bits and pieces. So TG Car, very wholesome by the sounds of it. Very wholesome, lovely Culture Night special. Now, will we take some music? I want to play you a song by a band called Kinsey. Now, Kinsey are an incredible band that I have just seen play down in Galway, Clare Galway, at Fall Right Into Place Festival. And you know what really surprised me about this little tiny festival was how young all the bands are. Bands are absolutely tiny these days. Or maybe I've just gotten really old in the lockdown and I'm looking at them going, God, you're 18, you're 19, you're 20 and I am a dinosaur. Kinsey are young and just full of life, and they're technically amazing playing their instruments. You can tell that they have just been playing their hearts out in their bedroom over the last few years, and now they're taking to the stage and they are smashing it. So here is a young band called Kinsey with their song Point of View. sound a little different this week on the radio, it's because I'm not actually in the lovely Smithfield studios of Dublin City FM. I am in my camper van. I am in my camper van recording this in the most rural part of Clifton on the side of the bay, and my camper van is rocking with the wind and it's pelting down with rain, and I honest to God couldn't be happier. I'm just sitting here listening to new tunes, researching all the happenings that's going on in Dublin City and around, and I'm just loving life. If you can see me now though, I have the microphone perched on top of this odd table and surrounded by loads of cushions. I'm trying to figure out the software. So, just in case you're wondering, it's like, Ruth sounds like she's in a box. I am. I very much am. But this is good crack. I love it. I love being here. The Clifton Arts Festival is on at the moment, and God, I love my arts. So, that's why everything sounds a bit weird, but hopefully when I play the tracks, they don't sound weird at all. I'm going to play you a new tune now. This is a song by Alva Reddy, which we've played before. We've played the original before. It's called Shoulder Blades, but this is a new version. It's a choir version done by the Theodora Byrne Ensemble. And I don't know if you're aware of Theodora Byrne, and what she does is she gets all these amazing vocalists from Ireland and puts them together in this beautiful arrangement, and then they do these new versions of songs. So this is a new version of Shoulder Blades that I would like to play for you by Alva Reddy and the Theodora Byrne Ensemble. Have a listen to this.
Sit by the window, reading a book you don't like. Finish your coffee slowly and dangle in the kitchen. Call the police on kids from the street, just saw them breaking into a car. You've got deliberation in your eyes when you turn down the blinds. And I love to watch you. How the light hits your face, and in the morning on your shoulder blades, in the bed when you turn away. I love to watch you. I love to watch you. The overgrown grass of the house we're living in took a childhood. In a sense we're struggling. Glass and hot tarmac, watch the lines of the sun shrink back behind the wall. How sweet it is to be so close that I can breathe in. I can't hear anything else at all. And I love to watch you. Ooh, how the light hits your face, and in the morning on your shoulder blade, in the bed when you turn away. I love to watch you. I love to watch you. Like living in your parents' house.
Thanks for sticking with us here on Spotlight, your guide to arts, culture and new Irish music. Still to come on the show, we have lots more new tunes. We have a live session with Aonair and we have some interviews for you too. If you're listening live on the radio on Dublin City FM, feel free to text us in. Our number is 087 179 1032. However, if you're listening back on Spotify, hello to you too, you can feel free to DM me or send me a message on all of your socials. I am at Ruthless Imagery. Feel free to check us out there. All right, up next, we're going to have some more brand new Irish music. Let's talk more about collaborations. You know I love it when bands collaborate. Here is James Vincent McMorrow, who we all know and love, remixing a song by Maria Kelly. Maria, as if you remember, was on our show recently enough, doing some live versions of her songs. JVM has put a donk on it. He has remixed 8 Hours and it's absolutely gorgeous. Get your ears around this.
Well, they never meant much. I spend all night
This is another young, fresh baby band who I also saw play live very recently. And I was looking at them and I was looking at a little baby Kurt Cobain in his little cardigan. And I was like, okay, this is it. 90s grunge. Kids love them. Here is a song called Commander Trainwreck by a band called Skinner.
Maybe just another day of laying in bed will recover all the nutrients that leak from my head. My mind is stale, my skin is pale. I'm staying up late, watching internet fails. Slowly drag my body from the back of my room. I'm so sick of everybody telling me that I'm doomed. My spit sinks slow to the pit of my soul. I start my day with a feeling I know, and you know it's gonna be one of those. It's gonna be one of those. It's gonna be one of. It's gonna be one of. Meet me in the morning and you'll know it's too soon. Man, the day is fucking boring. The birds are out of tune. My guts are full from last night's feed. I'm not too pushed on my first meal. Feeling sorry for my body as I walk to my job. I fall in looking groggy. They say that I'm a slob. I give my day for a miserable pay. I skin my soul, then I wear it on stage, and you know it's gonna be one of those. It's gonna be one of those. It's gonna be one of. It's gonna be one of. Tell me that you love me when I act like I'm sad. Smell me when you shove me past the failing underground. I stink of breath. I look like shit. My mind tells me I should get a grip. Maybe I was better off just staying in bed and recovering the nutrients that leak from my head. People staring at me thinking I should get checked. Well, from now on you can just call me Commander Trainwreck. Yeah, from now on you can just call me Commander Trainwreck. Well, from now on you can just call me Commander Trainwreck.
So let's have a look at what's coming up in Vicar Street. If you fancy a bit of a laugh, Dylan Moran is playing Wednesday the 28th and the 30th of September. And then the usual people who seem to be always playing Vicar Street are still playing Vicar Street. So Dara O'Brien is in there. Also, Joanne McNally continues her incredible run of 60 nights at Vicar Street with the Prosecco Express, which I hear is absolutely hilarious. Let's liven things up a little bit with a band who is also playing Vicar Street, and they have just added another night. So the 1st and the 2nd of October we'll see Pillow Queens play Vicar Street, and they are going to be amazing shows. Let's take a track by them. This is Be By Your Side.
Be by your side, I want to be. All those other times I lied, I cannot breathe. There's nothing left to show you now except my heart. When everyone around me grows, I just fall apart. Be by your side.
Welcome to Spotlight, Nialler9. I know it's only a few episodes in, but I was dying to get you on the show. And I have
Ruth.
you. Success.
Nice
Now,
to
you
be
are
here.
here not just to talk about all the wonderful things that you do, but also in your official capacity as Culture
Yes.
Night Ambassador.
I've been finally given an official title. It's a bit special.
It's about time. It's a bit special. You're a bit special.
Okay.
You're ambassador. I
a good
mean,
way.
I want you to be our ambassador. Yeah,
Yeah.
brilliant. What does a Dublin Culture Night Ambassador do?
Really just brings the vibes. I mean, I think ultimately that's what they're about.
Yeah.
Just
Brings the vibes.
bringing the culture, talking about gigs and being excited about things that are happening in Dublin, and that's something I do for a weekly and daily basis anyway. So
It's your
an
thing.
easy job.
It's your thing. So you were just being Nialler9, but just with it.
Yeah, wider scope than music this time, of course, because I've been going to a lot of theatre, I've been going to a lot of galleries recently anyway, and I mean, not that I wasn't going before, but I think that's what Culture Night is. That's why it's so fun. It's an opportunity to go and see something you maybe wouldn't normally see. And I love music, and I definitely go and see music on Culture Night, but it's a really opportunity to get out and go and see things that maybe you hadn't thought about, or
Hear new voices outside of your
Exactly,
circle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and it's free, and it's like there's 300 different events happening on Culture Night on September 23rd. So there's just so many different things happening. And so many-
300.
yeah, 250 venues open around Dublin and around the country, of course, as well. So it just really is like an opportunity to go and see something. And what I love about it as well is it's all ages. You can bring your family out, you can go with your pals, whatever it is, your kids, you can bring them out and go and they can experience something for the first time as well. So, and the fact that it's free and, there's no barriers to entry, it's just stuff that's on.
You keep saying the magic word. Our magic word here on this station is free, because we're all broke and we're going to admit it. We're like, we need some free things to do. So this is perfect. If there's 300 events and they're free to do. So where do you even begin to start with 300 events?
Well, it's tough. I think. Well, first of all, there's a lot of spaces that maybe are worth mentioning that would be open anyway, and it's just an opportunity to go in and
Of an evening, I
yeah,
suppose.
like
Yeah.
say Dublin Inc., the tattoo place is open, and they're going to be doing some stuff. There's a Mexican shop called Casa Mexico, which is going to be open. Like Damn Fine Print are open that night. Mazer has opened his studio. He's doing some. He's offering some art and doing some discussions and drinks and stuff. So that's happening. So there's all those kind of things that would be open maybe anyway. Obviously, the big cultural institutions, like Collins Barracks is open this year. Imma is doing something really interesting, which is like this kind of late night. So there's a big focus this year on late night, and that's one of the reasons why I'm here, because I'm
You're the
a
late
big
night
proponent
king.
of late night, nighttime economy, and so there's a few more late night events that normally would happen, like the one in Imma, which is it's called Night Shift, and I don't really know what it is yet, but it sounds really intriguing. It's basically involves a land train, maybe an outdoor exhibition, and some spooky goings on. So I'm not really sure what it is.
Did you say
what's
a
happening.
land train?
Yeah.
What's a land train?
What does it sound like?
Is it that the thing like in Malahide where
In
they
the
have a
zoo,
little
yeah.
choo-choo that goes around and takes
Exactly.
tours? Oh my
Exactly
God,
that.
I love
So-
a land train. I
yeah.
never thought I'd love a land train more. That's
So that's going on till 2 a.m. So I don't really
Stop.
know what is happening, but you can go to Imma until 2 a.m. on
oh
Culture
my
Night,
God,
so
you can catch me on the land train.
There you go. So there's loads of those kind of things happening. And then you and I are very aware of a band called, well, would you even call them a band? They're a raggle-taggle collection of musicians called Acid Granny.
Yes.
And they have been roving around the streets for the last few years, making music and bouncing off whatever's happening in front of them. And they're a key part of Culture Night this year, actually. So they're going to be around Spencer Dock about 6:30 on Culture Night. Down there, there's some live mural painting by Fanuna Halpine, and there's all sorts happening down Spencer Dock in the North Wall this year, which is really nice.
So that's a key
Loads of
hub.
things
So maybe
happening.
people can just go down there without really a clue what
Yeah.
to do, and they'll just stumble into things.
Absolutely. And then there's places like Meet Now Square, which are the artist Tig is doing a big live show, which has a big fashion element as well, and big brass bands. So that'll be really interesting. There's also Dublin Modular, who are kind of a community of synth heads and electronic musicians who are kind of doing some improv kind of stuff as well. There's some for the kids, there's like puppetry and there's a trad sesh, so there's a bit of everything really. That's in Meet Now Square. And then over in Wood Quay at the lovely outdoor space there, Sive, the Kildare folk artist, is playing.
Love
There's a
Sive.
memory gospel choir as well, who are made up of people who have dementia, And I don't know if you know, but I'm really fascinated by this, and I think it's a wonderful thing that anyone who has dementia apparently can be, their memory can be improved by music and
Yes.
singing and listening to music. So it's a really lovely thing that happens, and I think that's a lovely thing that will be happening.
That
on Culture Night
sounds
as well.
fascinating. I love that. I
Yeah.
did a big project a few years ago with people who suffer from dementia and Alzheimer's, and I didn't know what to talk to them about when we were driving from shoot to shoot. So I used to just try and kind of like think about what music they would have liked when they were a kid, and I'd put it on in the car. And you just get a flash off them going, oh, that's Mary Black. I love Mary Black. You know, people
Yeah.
that have been really... that's
Music
so
buries
powerful.
itself in your memories, your deep memories, and that's where it stays. And so it's a good way to unlock those memories from people who struggle with memory. So
So
yeah,
that's
I think it's
acquired,
really great.
did you say, down in...
Yeah. So it's acquired on there.
My God.
There's so many things. I think there's some aerial stuff happening down there as well. And then there's like little spaces like Marrowbone Books, which is in Dublin 8, a little bookshop. They're doing some live music stuff and some readings and things like that. So
Everyone's
stuff
out.
happening
Everyone
everywhere.
is just putting forward, because Culture Night, I feel like, has become huge. I remember when it started, and I don't even know when it was, like maybe 15 years ago or
Yeah,
so.
I don't remember exactly, but it was always like get the opportunity to go
Yeah.
into a gallery, the National Gallery of Ireland, maybe late night after
Yeah,
6 p.m. So that
it was
the
the
original
late night
idea.
thing, and I was like, "This sounds amazing." They're allowing everyone in, so I felt like me as like a raggedy student who was broke. I was like, "Oh, I can just pop in and have a look at all these posh places, and you get a
Yeah.
free glass of wine." But now it's become this thriving, huge event, and I'd
Yeah.
almost wish they'd put it over an entire weekend.
Maybe someday they will, but for now it's one night, and it's an opportunity to really, to engage with the city if you haven't been, and to get out and really see what's been going on creatively and culturally, and there's just so many, and also outside the city too, like Tala Civic Theatre is doing a lot of things. I know like Robbie Kitt's DJing out there, Ballabok from Club Comfort as well. So there's loads of things happening, and I'm seeing stuff every day that I was like, oh, that's happening too. That's happening too. There's a lot of walking tours happening as well.
Love a good
you can do a
walking
tour of Phibsborough. Tony Walsh is doing a tour of queer social spaces in Dublin's recent history.
Wow.
So he's done that before, but that's to be a special Culture Night edition. The Abbey are putting on Edna O'Brien's premiere of her play Joyce's Women that night, and also doing an amazing Irish Women of History talk or walk as well. So just look, there's loads that's happening.
There's loads.
It's extensive.
But not to mention your show. Go on, tell us a little bit about Night Moves that you're bringing out on Culture Night.
Yeah, so Night Moves is a big party that's basically happening in the fruit and veg market off Capel Street. It is had this idea about 3 months ago that it would be great to get into this one of those derelict spaces that isn't being used at the moment in the city.
Of which there are many, unfortunately.
Yeah, and so fruit and veg market off Capel Street has been closed for the last 3 years. It's been earmarked for a future fruit and veg market. So we will remains to be seen what will happen, but that's 2026 apparently. So we still a few years to go before that's going to happen, if it does happen. So in the meantime, we have the space, we have the keys for the night. We're putting on a big production. We've got, I think it's 700 capacity in there, and it's going to be. We're going to do some discussions about the present and future of clubbing. The main reason is and I think this is why it fits so well into Culture Night, because there's been a lot of talk in the last few years of how clubbing is culture.
Yeah.
And I really believe that. And
Absolutely.
this is a way of showing that. Last year they had a big, they had some techno DJs and the likes of Dream Cycles in Meeting House Square, and that was great to see.
Yeah.
So this is a kind of let's do more of this. Let's include people. The fact that it's an open space, it's a big open air market. We can put a lot of people in it. We're going to have DJs every kind of half an hour. It's kind of a flavour of what's happening in the city, and that's what I want to do. I want to make sure that there's enough range of DJs in there that you can get an impression on what's going on in the city.
Yeah.
So you could stay for a night. But most people will float in and out.
And if
as
it's
they
only
do, because they've other things they want to see.
yeah, and if it's a changeover every half hour, I mean, if you don't particularly like one DJ, you just have to hang around a half an hour, and they'll be changing over again.
That's
which
it, yeah.
is brilliant. So you're really kind of programming for the masses there.
Yeah, it's open to everyone. It's all ages as well, and there's no bar, so that means Culture Night isn't really a big alcohol kind of space.
No,
So
what makes
event,
it so
so-
special in the
yeah.
Irish calendar.
Yeah.
So it's a non-alcoholic event where it's not about the booze. It's just about seeing the music that's on that's available in Ireland at the moment, and just promoting club culture. Well,
Exactly
clubbing as a
that.
culture.
Yeah, and the important thing, I think, that's one big aspect of it. And the other part is just to be able to get people into the fruit and veg market. And
See
we're
the
not going
space.
to, we're going to use the space as it is as much as possible. And so it can just like, it'll really feel like a bit of a warehouse rave.
Yeah.
Although it'll be all ages and it'll be very polite and nice.
Warehouse raves, they're always polite and nice and safe spaces. I don't know what
Yeah, but I
you
think I want people who maybe wouldn't come to a rave or a club to come in and enjoy themselves and have that experience as well, because
That sounds like the whole
part of
ethos
it.
of
Yeah,
culture
it's inclusive,
night.
like,
yeah,
so
a
it
space
should
that you
be
wouldn't
that.
normally enter into. This is your chance to go in and have a little snippet of it. What hours are you doing in there?
We're gonna have a couple of talks. It could go from 4:30 till 11 or 4:30 to midnight. We're not sure yet. So
Let's go to midnight.
it's a long day. We have to wait and find out.
Shit.
It's not up to me, unfortunately.
Yeah, that sounds fabulous. I'm doing something I'm part of the Dean Art Studios collective up on Chatham Row, and we're open that day as well, that night, and I'm inviting people in for a portrait.
Nice.
It's a silent portrait though, because you know, normally I take pictures and I'm all chatty and stuff, and I talk to people and I find out their vibe and I try and capture their vibe. For this, I thought I'd turn it on its head and invite people in, and you're not allowed to say a word, and I'm not allowed to say a word, and I have to take your picture without knowing you, and I'm going to see how that goes. But this is the thing, I wouldn't be able to try that if it wasn't for the crack of Culture Night, you know?
yeah.
And then I'm going to pop down to the Tower buildings and I'm on a panel there for all the chats about, I don't know, being a creative human, I suppose. And then I get to run up and have the bounce with you.
Great.
That's going to be brilliant. Well, Nialler9, thank you so much for giving us a very extensive
no
list
problem.
of amazing things to do this Culture Night, which is September 23rd in Dublin and all across Ireland. Thank you so much, and we will see you then.
Thanks, Ruth.
Cheers. Let's play some more tunes now, shall we? This is a little bit of a banger. It's from a new Irish band called Slaney. Here is Dream About You.
Why can't I let this go? You broke my heart in two. As soon as I dry my eyes, I start to cry again. Every time I fall asleep, I dream about you. I dream about you. Dream about you. Every time I fall asleep, I dream about you. I dream about you. Dream about you. You, yeah, yeah, yeah. You, yeah, yeah, yeah. Dream about you. Why can't I let this go? You broke my heart in two. As soon as I dry my eyes, I start to cry again. Every time I fall asleep, I dream about you. I dream about you. Dream about you. Every time I fall asleep, I dream about you. I dream about you. Dream about you. Yeah, 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 yeah. You, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. You, yeah, yeah, yeah. Dream, you, dream, 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 dream, you, dream. Every time I fall asleep, I dream about you. I dream about you. Every time I fall asleep, I dream about you. I dream about you. Every time I fall asleep, I dream about you. I dream about you. Every time I fall asleep, I dream about you. I dream about you.
Now, coming up shortly, we're going to have a live musical session from a brand new act called Aonair, who's going to play some tunes for us. He's going to play some stripped back acoustic tunes. Now, I know that he likes to play with a full band, with a full sound, and get the full production. So, we're going to take a track from him. This is his single called There Ain't No Easy Way Out. So, if you like this, you like the cut of this, stick with us, and we will play you some more tunes of his very, very soon. Farah L is back with a new song. This is Laundry. Now, Farah L is singing in English here, but if you ever get the chance to go see her perform, I saw her a few years ago. She does these amazing songs in Arabic that I'm really hoping she's still doing. And maybe we can get Farah in to do a few tunes here for us on Spotlight. Anyway, have a listen to her latest single. This is Laundry.
Home when my laundry's done. I'll be coming home when my laundry's done. Home when my laundry's done, baby, I'll be coming home. Only in your eyes does it finally feel so right. My baby calls me all the time. No, not only in the night, only in your arms. Can nothing do me any harm? 'Cause baby, only in your eyes does it finally feel so right. Home when my laundry's done. I'll be coming home when my laundry's done. Home when my laundry's done, baby, I'll be coming home. Oh. Ooh, I know. Only in your eyes does it finally feel so right. My baby calls me all the time. No, not only in the night, only in your arms. Can nothing do me any harm? 'Cause baby, only in your eyes does it finally feel so right. Home and my laundry's done. I'll be coming home and my laundry's done. Home and my laundry's done, baby, I'll be coming home and my laundry's done. Home and my laundry's done. I'll be coming home when my laundry's done. Home when my laundry's done. I'll be coming home when my laundry's done. Home when my laundry's done. I'll be coming home when my laundry's done.
So I am delighted to be joined right now in studio with Aonair. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yes, perfect first time.
Oh, thanks. Like you didn't coach me off air for a full minute there. Thanks so much for joining us. You're going to play a few songs. We're going to have the chat. It's going to be lovely and cozy. Yes. But first, tell me about the name. Is that a really obvious and stupid way to start a conversation? But I feel like I want to know.
It has a story a bit.
Oh.
I actually had a different name for a few years, and then I released an album that under the different name, totally different project, and then the day after it all got taken offline. I got an email from this guy from the States with the same name and was like, stop.
What was it? Can we say it? Are we going to dead name him?
Okay.
Dead name him.
Maybe we're gonna ruin his career. Maybe we probably should spam him. It was called Lover, Lovr before.
Oh, that's nice.
And
not as nice as Aonair.
I think Aonair's kind of better.
I think because is it Irish?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it means like Emma Aonair is on my own, and so then all that happened, and then I just totally was like, well, it's a sign from the gods.
Yeah.
So I started again basically with a new name and a kind of different sound and stuff, and yeah, Aonair was it. It's very hard to find a good name that someone doesn't already have.
But you've done it though, because when you put you into Google, you turn up and
Yeah.
nothing else.
Yeah.
It's not like trying to find so and so band from Dublin, la la la.
Yeah.
It's just Aonair is there.
I learned my lesson, Ruth. Let me tell you.
What a strong lesson to learn off the bat.
Yes.
Well done. Sure, we're
Taking the
all about
positive.
every day's a school day. We're all learning and growing. Okay, so you're here because you had a brand new single that's just come out. Congratulations.
Thank you.
There Ain't No Easy Way Out was out the 16th.
Yes.
The 16th. And okay. And you're going to be playing a show upstairs in Whelan's ahead of your EP launch.
I know. Yeah.
What's the EP called?
The EP is called Love Heart Birthmark.
Okay, and you're going to play upstairs in Whelan's on October the 13th. I love upstairs in Whelan's.
Yeah, it's lovely.
It's gorgeous. It's
Yeah.
soulful. I feel like the room has a vibe already.
A lot
in
of
it.
history in that place.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, we're gonna dress it up real nice, and it's a big show. We have like a big band, like a 7-piece band.
Wow.
The whole EP is very like 80s synth pop.
Yeah.
Inspired, and I made it on my own as well. Of course, as Aonair, I'm on my own. But one thing you do when you're making an EP on your own is you don't think about how you're going to do it live.
Right.
And so there's this huge synth pop 80s arrangement, and I was like, right, okay.
Yeah.
So we've been doing it with a smaller setup for all the festival circuit.
Yeah.
But now that it's going to be the EP launch, we're like going to go. I'm like, okay, this
Go
is my
big.
time to just like bring in the big guns.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you're here with us now with just an acoustic guitar. And when I was listening to your tunes before you came in, I had to turn to Ashley, the producer, and go, "Are you sure he's doing this acoustic? Because I didn't know how he could." So I'm really looking forward to seeing how you translate that big sound into one acoustic guitar. You mentioned there about going big and dressing the place, so visuals are obviously a massive part of Aonair, right? Like what if someone was coming to your show in Whelan's, what would they expect to see?
It's very glitter, it's very neon lights, like pulling straight out of the 80s, but not the cheesy one.
No,
Like the cool new wave, like like New Order kind of vibes, and like Tears for Fears.
slick.
More slick.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of the reasons why I started doing it was because I was playing lots of other bands that were so they're like these kind of rock bands and stuff, and everyone was trying to be so subtle with music, and you go to do a photo shoot and you're in front of a brick wall wearing black skinny jeans, and you're like, yeah, you know what I'm on about.
I know this. It pains me so much. I'm like, please stop doing the same photo.
Yeah.
And then I look at your photographs and I'm like, boy's got style. Yes. Love it. So come here. You're going to play a couple of songs. Will you start us off with one now?
Yeah.
What are you going to play for us first?
I'm going to play a very stripped down version of Think Twice.
Very stripped down. Okay, so just before you launch into this is a song that features Clodagh on vocals as well, right? When we hear the big band version of it. And we had Clodagh in on our show a couple of weeks ago, which is brilliant. What's it? Was that a collaboration, or did you write a piece and think that her vocals would fit for that?
Yeah, it was sort of, I wrote it and I felt like it needed something else. And I just love Clodagh, and I was like, we'll think of any reason to work with her, do anything with her, because she's brilliant.
She's brilliant. And were you following her scooter tour of Ireland?
I wasn't physically following her, but I was looking at it online.
I'm running behind her with your guitar. Bring me with you. She's really upped the game, I think, for musicians to
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
Like, I did hear rumours of a scooter tour of Europe, but
Stop. Maybe you can join on that one.
Yeah, I'll get a little side cart.
Yeah, I'm on for this. Clodagh, if you're listening, you have a tour buddy here. Okay, so take us away there with Think Twice.
Sitting on my own in the back seat of your car. That song you hate came on the radio. The one where they say you try to hurt me with goodbye, but covered by White Boys 1985. But then I reside in the back seat of your life, wondering if you would like to drive me if I could. And I would return myself to you and commit myself to being by your side. 'Cause it was sweet in your arms and you were kind. Every time I was ready to go, as you were ready to start for this infinite potential, wishing I could think twice. Just think twice. All the infinite choice, all the infinite demands. I don't need to want to lose anything. If I commit to nothing, I have everything to gain. Just an infinite messiah on a solitary plane. Devotion still resides in the backseat of my life. One subscription to another, cross the sea of doubt. But I know it's choice, it's infinite, everything forever. 'Cause it was sweet in your arms and you were kind. Every time I was ready to go, as you were ready to start this infinite potential, wishing I could think twice. Just think twice. Just think twice. Just think twice. But you can keep blaming all that you want on all that you are. You can keep blaming all that you want on all that you are. But you can keep blaming all that you want on all that you are. 'Cause it was sweet in your arms and you were kind. Every time I was ready to go, as you were ready to start for this infinite potential, wishing I could think twice. Sweet in your arms and you were kind. Every time I was ready to go, as you were ready to start for this infinite potential, wishing I could think twice. Just think twice. Twice. Just think twice. Think twice, but I won't let you go. Thinking over and over and over again.
Woo! That was amazing. It took all my might not to chime in and do Creeva's parts.
Oh, please do.
No, you do not want to hear me sing. That was brilliant. That was so good. So tell us a little bit about Love Heart Birthmark.
Yes.
How did it come about? What was the crack? Where did you write it? What's going on? Tell me everything.
It all kind of started, it was during COVID, and I kind of ran away from Dublin because I lived in a very small house with a lot of people. And I was like just kind of getting sick of that. My granddad, his old house is in Donegal in this little village called Rathmullen by the seaside. Nobody in there. I knew there was nobody in there, and I was like, that sounds great. No one else, and just the sea, and just get a change of place.
Seems blissful. Like,
yeah, it
definitely.
was class.
Yeah.
I didn't really even intend on making this EP there or this music. I kind of just went to just change up. I guess we never knew what was going to happen from day to day. So I went there, and I just brought my guitar and a few synths with me because I knew I'd want to write some stuff and some mics and stuff. And I set up like a little small studio in there. And he's got a very small house, but it was like a little sitting room, kind of one room thing. And it was nice. And he had old ironing boards that he made and clothes horses.
Is he still with us now?
No, he's not. He's dead for a good few years. But
bless.
it was really nice because in a way I was kind of like living the life he lived because he was on his own for so long in that house, and then I was on my own in that house and I was sleeping in his bed. Like the same sort of, it was a really strange parallel thing going on.
Like it's almost like he's part of the record though as
Yeah.
well. If you're following like literally his day-to-day footsteps.
Going for walks every day, same place.
That's lovely.
It was cool. And then I started making music, and there was no real intent to release it because I didn't know when I would or what was going to happen. But I just started making stuff, and it all went really quick. I kind of just made loads of music that I just wanted to make.
Yeah.
I wasn't really thinking about what people would think about it.
Sure.
It was just like, what do I want to make, and what feels good in the moment. And I had about like 7 or 8 songs kind of done, like demoed. And I randomly talked to Phil Taggart, who is he used to be a Radio 1 DJ, but now he's got his podcast, Slacker, I think it's called. I randomly was just doing, I got talking to him online, and then we did like a Zoom call because we talk about music. And I sent him the EP. He called it the EP. It was just like music I was working on. He just wanted to hear it. And he listened to all of it, and he's like, oh, this EP is amazing. And I was like, oh, it's not an EP. It's just like what I've been doing the past few months here. And he was like, you need to finish this and put this out.
Yeah.
And that's kind of when it became, I was like, okay. So I kind of was thinking about it as a collection then. So I went back and I changed a lot of stuff, and I kind of made it more cohesive and pulled it all together into one thing. But it kind of fell into place. But in a way, it was a very true representation of what I wanted to make, because I just made it for me, and it was quite different to what I did before. I was kind of doing this more broody synth pop thing, and now it's just like, I just love Prince, and I love Tears for Fears, and I love like music that makes elevates itself and is joyous and is kind of bigger than itself and tries to create this other world within it, and this kind of this like different dimension that you enter in when you listen to it. You're thrown into this different space that only it exists in, and I think a lot of 80s music and a lot of like synthwave stuff and any of that throwback stuff does that so well, and I just wanted to kind of make my own world in that, and that's kind of how it came. And in a way, it was like a way to like that new world that I was making for myself when I was recording. It was like I could just not think about the fact that I couldn't see my parents or leave anything or go back to Dublin or do anything or do gigs or anything.
But it's mad to think what we can create as artists and as people when we're just afforded a little bit of space, a little bit of time to be on your own. And I think that's what lockdown gave to so many of us. For you, it's physically taking you from a crowded house and putting you in an isolated space, enough for you to shed all the kind of notions of preconceived ideas of what you needed to produce and just focus on what you wanted to produce. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
You must be very proud of the EP now when you stand back and have a little look at it and go, I made that.
Yeah, I am. It's more than anything else I've ever done.
Yeah.
I really am.
So are we going to have another lockdown before you're able to make another record?
I'm also a part-time scientist, so I'm trying to concoct a new not really concoct a new disease to take over the world.
Virus. I knew when you gave me a hug coming in here, it was more than a hug.
Yeah. I'm actually running away to Nashville in October to write an album. I've been afforded some time there.
How? Why Nashville?
My partner's from there.
Okay.
And her mother owns a chocolate shop, and it's coming up to Christmas, and they need help. But they also have a little place.
Hang on, sorry, you just breezed over that too quickly there. A chocolate shop in Nashville.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I may come back a few stone heavier, but I'll have an album, I hope, at that point.
Okay, so you're going to go over to Nashville,
Yeah.
work in a chocolate shop at Christmas, and write a Christmas album.
Yeah, bish. I actually didn't think about that, but yeah, could be a Christmas country
It's
record.
going to be sleigh bells, and it's all going to be
Sleigh
like...
bells, going to be saying y'all, they're going to call me Mac.
Oh my lord, this is going to be
It's going to be a whole thing,
fabulous.
yeah.
So you're going to Nashville and you're going to come back with a new record.
That's the hope.
Cannot wait to hear that. Are you going to play another song for
I'll
us
play another
today?
very chill song.
Will
Chill
you?
version of the first single that came out from the EP.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, you can play us out with this, and thank you so much for joining
you.
us. And people can find you in Whelan's upstairs on the 13th of October. What's your Instagram and your Twitter and all that for people who are listening?
Yeah, Aonair.band on both.
Spell Aonair first, just in
Oh
case.
yeah, AONAIR.
There we have it.
Spells like it sounds kind of.
You're the only one on Google. People will
Yeah.
definitely find you.
There is a
Thank you so
wine
much.
shop though too. Don't go to them. Well, maybe do actually.
Maybe you could do a partnership.
I was thinking about that.
Ah, look.
Yeah.
And chocolates. Okay, play us out. Thank you so much for joining us.
Long distance shotgun wed to a corner of a single bed. I long to be lost and found around you now. Heard the call from the mission bell. Heard a voice in the wishing well. I just might let you in. Now I'm your man. Oh, now I'm your man. Oh, I'm your man. The heart misplaced, one so still. Felt the vacancy once distilled. I long to be anything around you now. When I'm born with a lonely heart, let it rest every time we part. There is no implication. I'm stating plain that I'm not the same when I'm your man. Oh, now I'm your man. Oh, I'm your man. So many men try to hold back from the start, but I got out too close with no chain around your heart. If I feel for you like I do, you gotta be free. So if you see the same, say the word and let me be your man. Oh, now I'm your man. Ooh, just say that I'm the leading hand. Oh, now I'm your man. Oh,
Now, are you ready for some more brand new Irish music? Here is a song I randomly discovered while milling around doing my research for this show. Found this on a playlist. Don't really know much about it, but we'll just have a listen to it. It's a banger. It's by Sammy Copley and it's called Elephant.
I wish I loved as well as I could write. I wish I wrote the things I truly mean. I wish I was the sum of my goodbyes. I wish I knew what to do with in between. I could carry in the palm of my hand all the times you looked at me like I was lovely. That's not to say I don't think you think I'm lovely. That's to say that I carry all the times. I'll be the elephant in the room if it means I'm there. I'd be a fly on your wall if it meant that I had a prayer. I think you are a lover by design. I carve you out in poetry and stone. Try as I might, I'm struggling to stride the great divide between the knowing and the known. I could carry in the hand on my heart all the times you made me feel like I was something. That's not to say that I think you think I'm nothing. That's to say that I carry all the times. I'll be the elephant in the room if it means I'm there. I'd be a fly on your wall if it meant that I had a prayer. I'll be the elephant in the room if it means I'm All the times you looked at me like I was lovely. That's not to say I don't think you think I'm lovely. That's to say that I carry all the times.
So now I am very thrilled to welcome to Dublin City FM the fabulous author Clodagh Finn. Clodagh, you're very welcome to the studio.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here, Ruth, and to see you. I'm delighted to be part of this wonderful programme.
Brilliant, thank you so much. And we met, you reminded me, 3 years ago. That's when we first met, when you were working on your book Through Her Eyes.
That's right.
And I was sent by your publisher to go and photograph you in, was it a chapel?
Yeah, you're right. It was an oratory painted by the wonderful Concepta Lynch.
Now, so she's a fabulous woman,
Yeah.
and this is what you base your life on, to be honest, Clodagh. You document, capture, retell the stories of amazing women in history. You tell our history through these women. What draws you to this?
It's amazing. It all happened actually in 2016. I'm a journalist and I work mostly now for the Irish Examiner, a wonderful newspaper who tells lots of stories in the present and the past about women. Plug for the Irish Examiner.
Yeah.
But in 2016 I got a press release, and it was from another wonderful kind of women-based theatre company called Smashing Times Theatre Company, and they were putting on a production about forgotten women in war, and there was 6 vignettes, and one of them was about a Cork woman who is the Irish Oscar Schindler, and her name is Mary Elms, and she saved with other people about 400 children from deportation to Nazi gas chambers in 1942. And I had never heard of her. And also she has Israel's highest award, Righteous Among the Nations. Oscar Schindler himself has that. And that's given to non-Jewish people who risked their lives to save non-Jews during the Second World War. And I said, why is this woman not a household name? Yeah. And I started to do a bit of research on her and found a story of an exceptional woman who, apart from doing that, was a linguist, a scholar. She was taught by Samuel Beckett in Trinity, and she learned French and Spanish, and that's what set her on that journey. She went to the Spanish Civil War where she volunteered, and she followed her Spaniards over the Pyrenees into the south of France, and that's how she finds herself during the Second World War. And the camps start to fill up with Jews, and she goes out of her way to save hundreds of them.
And you were obviously touched by not just her story, but the fact that she wasn't a household name. So you wrote an entire book about her.
I did, yeah, I did.
A Time to Risk It All, right?
Yes, that's right, by Gill Books, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
So that was your first book, was it?
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
And then I met you on the campaign for Through Her Eyes.
That's right.
Okay, and tell me a little bit more. So you got the gra for discovering these undiscovered women.
That's exactly it. And I suppose it was a gra that went right back to my childhood, because I'm from Tralee, and my dad and mum, they were great storytellers, and my dad used to tell me the stories on the landscape, and he used to tell us stories of the witch of Carrantoul, who may or may not be real.
Oh, she's real.
She's real.
If you ever hear about a witch like that, they're real.
But I was very interested in the stories, all stories, and when I went to look at the stories that interest me through history, they weren't there. Or they were in the footnotes. Or you'd have a little mention of this lady was the sister of somebody and she did something. And that was it. So I started to look back right in the Stone Age. Why not start at the very beginning and see if I could tell the story of the history of Ireland from the Stone Age right through to the digital present, through the lives of women. That interests me because I think it really brings stories to life. And I was wondering, what was it like for a woman to be alive in Ireland in the last century, the century before? I was curious. So I kind of stepped into a TARDIS, and just stopped down wherever took my fancy, and Concepta Lynch, and we met in that beautifully illustrated oratory. I call her the Irish Michelangelo.
Wow.
And it's only slightly exaggerated.
No, I think that's so true because, I walked in not really knowing anything about this woman and discovering this incredible church that she had painted, hand painted so beautifully, but I didn't know anything about it. Nothing at all. And I was like, this is such a shit. I know everything about male artists, let me tell you, that don't do half as good as work as she did. And I walked in, I was like, I need to know more about this woman. And you were to hand, and I found out loads. But she is one of the 21 women in your book, Through Her Eyes, that you tell us about, which is gorgeous. Then you went from Through Her Eyes to her keys to the city, which is honouring the women who made Dublin. Now, a couple of the facts that you have in this in the press release here absolutely blow me away. Just 4 women were among the 83 people given the freedom of the city of Dublin since the award was inaugurated in 1876. Is that real?
That is real, and it is true, and it is staggering. And often when I ask people, how many women do you think got the freedom of the city since the award was inaugurated? And I'm blown away by the number of people who say none.
Oh, wow. Because we just have lost faith.
We've lost faith. And this book is all down to the previous Lord Mayor Alison Gilliland, who is such a champion. And when she came into office, she wanted to give all these women in the past the freedom of the city.
Yeah.
But you can't give a person the freedom of the city if they are dead.
Oh.
So she came up with this idea to honour 80 women, to bring it up to parity, and to just write them back into the record.
And she came to you.
She
the
came
most
to me.
Perfect woman to do the job.
We met on the Twitter, as I call it, and we were, talking about other women. And this is a very kind of democratic project, because in February she put it out to the people, who do you think should be in there? And we got some fantastic suggestions. And we were coming down with stories of women who hadn't been given the recognition that they needed.
What kind of women are we talking about?
Well, the one that comes to mind today is Dr. Kathleen Lynn, because this is the anniversary of her death. She died on the 14th of September in 1955. She's probably quite well known because there's a campaign at the moment to name the new children's hospital after her, because in 1919 she set up the very first paediatrician hospital in Dublin, in Charlemont Street, where the Carlton Hotel is now. Oh. She did it with £70 and 2 cots. Yeah. And what they did was amazing. It was very patient oriented, very woman focused. A lot of the staff were women, and they were encouraged to go out and innovate. And one of them, Dr. Dorothy Stopford Price, who's also in the book, learnt German so she could find out what was being done in Europe to tackle the epidemic of the time, which was TB. And she was the woman who introduced the BCG vaccine, the vaccine against TB to Ireland.
What a hero.
What a hero. You've all these women who worked in so many spheres celebrated in the book.
Oh, we should definitely name the children's hospital after. Now, it's cost a lot more than 70 quid and a few costs.
That's it. You see, I'm telling you, they should take pointers from Dr. Kathleen Lynn. Another thing in Dr. Kathleen Lynn, too, she was a gay woman living with her partner in Rathmines, I think. Yeah. And they were both very involved together in public life and in private life. And actually, a lot of the women, the revolutionary women, some of the trade unionists, were gay women. 2 women in the book, and I'm thinking of them recently too, is Louisa Bennett, and she was the General Secretary, if you like, of the Irish Women's Workers' Union, and her partner was Helen Chenevix, and they are commemorated in a bench in Stephen's Green.
Really?
So I love the idea that if you go around Dublin City, you'll find... Well, that's very explicit and well known, but people have forgotten the story.
Oh, I didn't know this.
So
I'm going to go searching in Stephen's Green for these amazing
and it's
women.
a huge bench, and it's a fantastic bench. And that woman, in 1945, she supported the laundry workers who went out on strike. They were out on strike for 4 months, 1,500 of them, who were working in hot, fetid laundries for 13 hours a day. And they were campaigning for 2 weeks paid holiday. And they won. not only for themselves, but for all of us. So we have them to thank for 2 weeks, for paid holidays now. You know, and that's kind of forgotten. Although they're commemorated in Liberty Hall. Have a look at the side of Liberty Hall and you'll see a tribute to them and Delia Larkin. We hear a lot about Jim.
Yeah.
But Delia's in there too. So there's two things for you to look at.
So Delia was supporting those women.
She
and their
was.
workers' rights.
She was very involved in the labour movement as well, and she's sort of forgotten under the shadow of Jim.
Yeah.
But she was a great woman, and she was a journalist, and she used to write articles for women, for women's rights, for votes for women, for workers' rights. Yeah.
Why do you think women are forgotten like they are?
I think what happened is that history took on a certain cast, and it was the stories of battles, and it was the stories of military might, and it was the story of politics. And it was kind of, there was the slick of testosterone right across it, you know, and it just became, you know, this is what makes history. And I think in recent years, a fantastic woman from Cork, who's also in the book, Margaret McCurtain, challenged that, because she did a PhD on a bishop. His name escapes me, which is terrible. I should remember the men as well as the women.
So we'll forgive you.
We'll forgive you.
You've got loads of other names going on.
But she went across Europe and looked in the archives, and she saw how present the women were in his lives, and she started to campaign for a different telling of history. And just on an interesting one, Tall Keen, Lord of the Rings, was her supervisor.
Staff.
Yeah, would you believe that? And he said, will you come? So she was a very smart lady. She said, will you come and do your PhD with me? And she said, no, actually I have a vocation. And she joined the nuns. So she was a nun and a campaigner and a fighter for the rights of women. And she lectured, people will know her as Sister Ben, in UCD. And when the Archbishop John Charles McQuaid asked her for her lecture notes, would you believe, in 1964, to see if they were all right, she just said no. But she was one of the people in Ireland who really changed the tide and said women contribute in so many ways. In the male ways, I mean, you'll find them, you know, tinkers, tailors, soldiers, sailors, politicians, but they have right from the beginning what you might call a softer social power, and they have made the world around us. And yeah, it's time to just, so I think since the 60s and 70s there's been a shift, but there's a long way to go.
There is absolutely a long. Is there anyone else in the book that you want to give it a nod to, or is there any favourites or any like divils, any stories?
You'd love Agnes Barnell. Do you remember Agnes Barnell?
Can't say I do.
Yeah, well, you would have loved Agnes Barnell. She was a cabaret singer, and she fled Berlin, Nazi Berlin, just before the Nazi party came to power, and she came first to London, where she was codenamed Vicky, and she had a radio program like yourself, but she was spreading disinformation to upset the Germans, and she would send coded messages to the resistance. But one of the things she said, there was a call for all the Germans to put samples of their poo in bottles and send them to the Gestapo headquarters. You can imagine the chaos. Yeah,
I love that you connect me with this legend.
No, yeah, but you'd love that. I thought you'd love that. But here, she was a real cultural icon, if you like. She came to Dublin. This is what made me think of her. Think of you. She was a real kind of cultural innovator. She was very involved in setting up the Project Art Centre. She married Desmond Leslie, who famously was a bit of a Lothario, and you know, the marriage split up. But she came to Dublin and she did so much in the cultural scene. This is what made me think of you. And she had acted with Vivian Leigh and Sean Connery. Wow. And she was a real character, and she did so much for the cultural life of Dublin. That's what, brings her to mind. And her granddaughter writes about her beautifully in the book. Yeah.
Ah, fantastic. So in Her Keys to the City and Through Her Eyes, we'll find out about loads of different women who work in different industries and have done so many different things
Absolutely.
for us all.
For us all.
That we're
Yeah.
all still like feeling the value of.
Absolutely. And I'll finish with one actually, because today is an auspicious day or a momentous day because for the first time contraceptives are available free for 17 to 25-year-olds.
Yeah.
It makes me think of a woman who is very much still with us called Mary or May McGee, who was a mother of 4. She had 4 children under the age of 2. She had a succession of a lot of pregnancies, 2, and then had twins. And her doctor said it would be a danger to your health to have any more children. And he recommended spermicidal jelly, which he had to import because it was illegal in Ireland in 1973. The customs seized her spermicidal jelly. Would you believe that?
I would believe it.
Yeah, and she took them to the Supreme Court and won and overturned the ban of contraception.
What year
in
is
Ireland.
this we talking?
1973.
That's just...
And it took decades for it to be inscribed in law. Like it wasn't, there was the Irish solution to the Irish problem, and people were worried that so many sacred sperm would be wasted. Yeah, it's unbelievable. But I think of her today, she's such a brave lady. And it's worth saying too, she is deaf. So... But that didn't stop her, she can lip read, but she went through, and there would have initially her church was against her, her husband stood beside her, but she stood up and she fought for all of us. So a special shout out to her in Skerries today.
Big shout out to her.
Big shout
Love
out to her.
Love her.
Yeah,
Everything
May McGee.
she's done for
Yeah.
us. Go on, May McGee.
Yeah.
Clodagh Finn, thank you so much
Absolute
for being
pleasure.
an inspirational
Oh,
woman
no.
yourself and coming in and telling us all these fabulous stories. So you can pick up your book, Her Keys to the City, Through Her Eyes, and A Time to Risk All. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
My pleasure. Cheers, love.
Late night fist fights and holes in the wall. I held my breath for a long time. Suddenly I'm running out of time, taking what I can and throw with love, till the lines, till there's no one left for us to fight.
That is all we have time for here on Spotlight. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you missed any of the show and you'd like to catch up with us, you can listen back on Spotify. We will post the links to that very soon. If you'd like to get in touch, like I keep saying, this is a community radio station. I'm posting about events and things that are happening around Dublin and around Ireland. And if you have something coming up, if you've got an exhibition or you've got a new single coming out or you've got a poetry reading or a workshop or whatever it is that's going on in your life and you'd like to use our platform here on the radio station, just send me a mail. Send me an email. It's the easiest thing to do. spotlight@dublincityfm.ie, and either myself or producer Ashley will pick it up and we will get you the airtime that you deserve. Culture Night is happening, as you know, in 2 nights' time. I'm going to be doing something in my own studio. I'm a photographer as well as doing this kind of radio DJ show. I'm going to be doing a little bit of like performance photographing. I don't know how you're going to, I don't know what it's called. I should really put a name on this thing. But I'm inviting the public, that's you, to come into my studio, which is number 4 Chatham Row in town, part of the Dean Arts Studios, from 5 to 7 on Friday night. And you can come in and sit for a portrait, but not just a normal portrait. It's going to be done in complete silence. So you rock up to my studio, don't say a word. Sit down on a chair, don't say a word. I won't say a word. I'm going to figure out your character and your personality and everything in the quiet moments. I'm going to take photographs of all the people who arrive to my studio between those hours, and then I'm going to do a little exhibition of it. And it's something new. I haven't tried it before. Normally I rely on chatting an awful lot to get to know people. So this is my way of kind of doing something for the community, something artistic, which you're all more than welcome to join in for. We have lots of things on in the Dean Arts Studio, lots more artists opening their studio doors. So come in for a little nose. We all love having a nose at artist studios, and that's what Culture Night is really about. So please join us there. My Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all that is Ruthless Imagery. So if you'd like to know more about that, then just drop me a message, or indeed anything you want to say or be on this show, give us a bell. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we will come back to you next week with even more events, arts, culture and new Irish music. Thank you so much.